A young woman is fired for helping an elderly man with memory loss, but she has no idea that this one act of kindness will completely change her fate. This is a beautiful and meaningful story that you should listen to because it will bring immense value to your life. Hi everyone, welcome to Narrated Tales, where every story touches the heart. Today I am very happy to share a new story with you. Let's get started. The evening rush had just begun at Riverside Diner, a small but cozy restaurant nestled in the heart of the city. The warm glow of the hanging lights cast a welcoming ambience, and the scent of freshly baked bread and simmering soup filled the air. Waitresses hurried back and forth, balancing trays and refilling coffee cups. Emily Carter, a young waitress in her early 20s, moved swiftly through the diner, her kind eyes crinkling with a warm smile as she greeted customers. The job was far from glamorous, but it was honest work, and every penny she earned was put toward saving for college. As she wiped down a counter near the register, the bell above the diner's entrance chimed. Drawing her attention, an elderly man stepped inside, his posture hesitant, his frail frame trembling slightly. His clothes, though neat, were worn and faded, his shoes scuffed from years of use. But what caught Emily's attention the most was his expression, a mix of confusion and uncertainty, as though he wasn't entirely sure where he was. He stood near the door, his pale blue eyes scanning the room nervously, his fingers twitching at the hem of his coat. Emily approached him gently. "Good evening, sir. Would you like a table?" The old man blinked, startled, as if no one had spoken to him in a long time. He opened his mouth, hesitated, then murmured, I think so, but I don't know if I have any money." A few nearby customers turned to look, their expressions ranging from curiosity to quiet disapproval. Emily felt a pang in her chest. She had seen struggling customers before, but there was something different about this man. He wasn't just hungry, he looked lost, completely adrift. "You don't have to worry about that," she said softly, offering him a reassuring smile. "Come, let's get you seated first." The man hesitated, then nodded slowly, allowing Emily to lead him to a small booth in the corner. His hands trembled as he sat down. "Can I get you something warm?" she asked kindly. "Maybe a bowl of soup?" The old man lowered his gaze as though ashamed. I think I like soup," he murmured. Then after a pause, he added in a whisper, "But I don't know if I can pay for it." Emily made a quick decision. She wasn't going to let him go hungry. "It's on the house," she said cheerfully. "Consider it a gift from Riverside Diner." The old man looked up at her, his watery blue eyes widening with surprise. "You're very kind," he said softly. "People don't do things like this anymore." Emily gave him a warm smile. "They should." She hurried to the kitchen and placed an order for a hot bowl of vegetable soup with fresh bread. Maggie, the head cook, raised an eyebrow. "One of your charity cases?" she teased. Emily grinned. "You know me too well." When she returned with the tray, the old man's expression softened. "It smells familiar," he murmured, lifting the spoon to his lips. As he took his first sip, his entire body seemed to relax, as though some forgotten part of himself had resurfaced. Emily watched him quietly, her heart swelling with warmth. Whoever he was, whatever had led him here, at least for tonight, he would eat in peace. But the peace didn't last. "Emily!" A sharp voice cut through the diner's hum. She turned and her stomach dropped. Mr. Dawson, the restaurant's strict manager, was storming toward her, his face twisted with irritation. "Step into my office, now." Emily glanced at the old man. He had stopped eating, his spoon hovering midair, his eyes darting between her and the manager with worry. "It's okay," she whispered before following Dawson to the back. The office door slammed shut behind her. "Would you like to explain why you're giving away free meals?" Dawson demanded, his tone cold. Emily straightened her shoulders. "He was hungry, sir. He didn't have any money and he seemed—" "I don't care what he seemed like," Dawson interrupted. "This is a business, Emily, not a charity. If we let one person eat for free, what's stopping the rest?" "It was just one bowl of soup," she argued. Dawson's expression didn't soften. "It's not your decision to make, and if you can't follow the rules, then you have no place working here." Emily felt her heart sink. She had worked here for almost a year. She had put up with long hours, difficult customers, and exhausting shifts. But this was unfair. "Are you firing me over a bowl of soup?" she whispered. Dawson's gaze remained firm. Pack your things, you're done here. For a moment, Emily just stood there, her mind racing. She could argue. She could beg for another chance. But then she thought about the old man still sitting in his booth, eating the soup she had given him. Taking a deep breath, she lifted her chin. Fine. She turned, grabbed her coat, and walked out. As she stepped into the cold night air, she made herself a promise. She would never regret choosing kindness. The weeks that followed were brutal for Emily. Finding another job wasn't easy. Her savings were running low, and the market was tough. She took whatever work she could find. A bookstore, a small bakery, even a receptionist job at a local gym. But nothing lasted. Each rejection stung, but she never regretted what she had done. One evening, exhausted after another unsuccessful job hunt, Emily sat on her tiny apartment's couch, scrolling through job listings. Then one posting caught her eye. Hamilton Enterprises, entry-level assistant position available. Emily's heart skipped a beat. Hamilton Enterprises was one of the largest conglomerates in the country, known for its real estate empire, luxury developments, and high-profile investments. It felt out of reach, too prestigious for someone like her, but she had no other options. Taking a deep breath, she clicked apply. To her shock, she was called for an interview. The following Monday, Emily stood outside Hamilton Enterprises' towering skyscraper, clutching her resume. Inside, the elegant marble lobby buzzed with business professionals. Everything about this place screamed wealth and power. She felt entirely out of place, but she squared her shoulders. You belong here. Act like it. The interview was nerve-wracking. Sitting before a panel of 3 executives, she answered every question honestly. Then came the one she dreaded. Why did you leave your last job? Emily didn't lie. I was fired because I chose to help someone in need, she admitted. I knew it went against company policy, but I couldn't turn my back on someone who was struggling. The panel exchanged glances, some skeptical, some intrigued. 2 days later, she got the job. Emily threw herself into work. Her position was low-ranking, mostly filing reports and running errands, but she was determined to prove herself. She worked long hours, never complained, and quickly gained a reputation for her dedication and efficiency. Then came the company gala. Emily was helping with event coordination when a hush fell over the room. She turned to see Richard Hamilton, the chairman of Hamilton Enterprises, enter the ballroom. Emily's breath caught, the old man from the diner. Her mind raced. He looked nothing like the lost, frail man she had once served. Now he stood tall and composed, a powerful presence in the business world. And then he turned. Their eyes met. For a moment, recognition flickered in his gaze. Emily felt her heartbeat quicken. Would he remember her? But then an executive leaned in to speak with him, and he looked away. Emily's hands trembled. Did it even matter anymore? The next few weeks passed in a blur. Richard Hamilton remained a distant figure, but something changed. She often caught him watching her, his expression unreadable. Then one morning, a letter landed on her desk. A promotion, effective immediately. She was moved to a special position under Richard Hamilton himself. Her mind spun with questions as she rode the elevator to the executive floor. When she entered his office, Richard was waiting. Welcome, Miss Carter, he said. Emily hesitated. Sir, I don't know what to say. I don't think I deserve this. Richard leaned back, studying her. You don't? He mused. Because from what I hear, you're one of the hardest workers in this company. She swallowed hard. I don't reward people out of pity, Miss Carter. I recognize potential. And you have it. Her throat tightened. I don't know how to thank you, she whispered. You already did, Richard said softly. Months ago, when you treated me like a human being instead of a burden. Emily blinked back tears. She had never expected kindness to come back to her in this way. The weeks that followed her promotion were a whirlwind. Emily worked closely with Richard Hamilton, assisting in major company projects and gaining insight into the inner workings of a billion-dollar empire. She found herself learning more than she ever had, not just about business, but about Richard himself. Despite his powerful presence, there were moments when he seemed lost in thought, his gaze distant, as if reliving memories he couldn't quite place. Once, as they sat in a late-night strategy meeting, he paused mid-sentence and looked at her. You remind me of my wife, he said softly. Emily blinked. Sir? Richard smiled faintly. She was kind like you. saw people for who they were, not just what they could offer. Emily didn't know what to say, but she understood. In that moment, why her small act of kindness had meant so much to him. It was during this time that she met Alexander Hamilton, Richard's grandson, the future heir of Hamilton Enterprises. Their first encounter wasn't exactly friendly. Emily had been reviewing financial reports in the executive suite when a voice interrupted her concentration. "You're the one my grandfather keeps talking about." Emily looked up sharply. Standing in the doorway was Alexander Hamilton, tall, impeccably dressed, and radiating the effortless confidence of someone born into privilege. Emily straightened her posture. "I don't know if he's been talking about me," she replied coolly, "but I do work for him now." Alexander smirked. "Oh, trust me, he talks about you." She frowned. "And you have a problem with that?" He shrugged. "I don't have problems, just questions." Emily crossed her arms. "Then ask." For a moment he simply studied her, as if trying to figure her out. Then finally he said, "I just don't understand why my grandfather put so much trust in you." Emily held his gaze. "Maybe because I earned it." Alexander's smirk faded slightly. For the first time she saw something in his expression. Not arrogance, but curiosity. And that was the beginning of everything. Over time, Alexander's attitude toward her changed. What had started as casual conversations turned into late-night discussions after long hours at work. What had been quick glances across meeting tables became something deeper. He saw how she held her own in a room full of executives, how she worked tirelessly, never using her connection to his grandfather to gain favors, how she refused to be intimidated by the world she had been thrown into. And before she realized it, Emily had fallen for him. But it wasn't just romance, it was respect. Alexander admired her, not just for her work ethic, but for her unwavering kindness. And Emily? She had spent so long fighting to prove herself. She never thought someone like Alexander would see her for who she truly was. But he did. Their relationship wasn't easy. The moment people found out, high society whispered, "She's just an employee," they sneered. "She doesn't belong with him." Emily heard the whispers, and at first she wondered if they were right. But Alexander, he didn't care. He stood by her, shutting down every doubt, every criticism. "My grandfather chose her," he told the board of directors one evening. "And if she's good enough for him, she's good enough for me." And Richard, he couldn't have been happier. "If there's anyone I trust with this company and my grandson, it's Emily," Richard once said with a smirk. Emily had never expected to find love in the world of the wealthy, but she had, and it was real. Years passed, and on the day of Richard's retirement, the world watched as Alexander Hamilton was officially named CEO of Hamilton Enterprises. And standing beside him, Emily Carter, not just as his right hand in business, but as his wife. She had gone from a struggling waitress to the future leader of one of the most powerful companies in the country, and all because of one single act of kindness. As she stood beside her husband, watching Richard address the press one last time, she squeezed Alexander's hand. "Life is crazy, isn't it?" she whispered. Alexander smirked. "If this is crazy, I hope it never stops." Emily laughed softly, leaning into him. And as cameras flashed, she smiled, because she had no regrets. Life has a funny way of rewarding kindness in ways we never expect. Emily never imagined that a simple act of compassion would change her destiny, leading her to success, love, and a future she could only dream of. This story reminds us that even the smallest gestures can have a profound impact. This is a beautiful and meaningful story that you should listen to because it will bring unexpected value to you. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. What are your thoughts on Emily's journey? Have you ever experienced a moment where kindness came back to you in an unexpected way? Share your story with us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay kind, stay inspired,